Hi, friends, welcome to Jenna's channel. Hi, my sweet children. Today, I have planned to work on the chapter 7 of Standard 7, The Making of Regional Culture. मैंने सोचा चलो थोड़ा हिस्ट्री हो जाए. हिस्ट्री कुछ बच्चों के लिए को बोरिंग लगती है, लेकिन डोंट वरी. आई एम अ टीचर जो हिस्ट्री को बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी फॉर्म में बताती है. तो चले, लेट्स स्टार्ट विद आवर चैप्टर. अब द मेकिंग ऑफ द रीजनल कल्चर, सबसे पहले तो मीनिंग वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड ऑफ दिस. इसमें हम ये कह रहे हैं कि किस तरह से रीजनल कल्चर बनाया गया है. तो सबसे पहला पॉइंट जो हम शुरू करेंगे वो है कि इंडिया हैज बीन अ लैंड ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी विच वी आर ऑलरेडी अवेयर ऑफ. और जैसे कि ईच रीजन इन आवर कंट्री हैज इट्स ओन लैंग्वेज, कल्चर, ट्रेडिशन, फूड, ड्रेसिंग स्टाइल एंड डांस फॉर्म. पर फिर भी हम रीजनल वाइज डाइवर्सिटी विच एग्जिस्ट टुडे आर अ रिजल्ट of the intermingling or a fusion, you can say, of various local tradition which existed in the past. तो हम सबसे पहले, क्योंकि हम हमारे इंडिया के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, तो सबसे पहले कुछ न्यू चीजें with about what I'm talking to you is the Chera dynasty in this. Chera dynasty and the growth of Malayalam. In the state of Kerala, we find a deep relation between the language and the kingdom. Okay, the Chera kingdom, Mahaudyapuram, was established in the 9th century. So we need to remember this. और उस टाइम पे एक ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट बना यूज टू होता था. वो होता था मलयालम लैंग्वेज में, और वो ऑफिशियल रिकॉर्ड संस्कृत में इट यूज टू बी हैपन, and was also used by a Chera ruler. The first literary work in Malayalam were based on Sanskrit. Always remember this. The 14th century, the Lilatikalam dealt with the grammar and poetics in Sanskrit and Malayalam. Yeah, this point also we need to learn, children. Okay, because this is important topic. Is this is all I'm talking about 14th century. Okay, now we will talk about Jagannath Yatra. Jagannath Yatra, Jagannath cult, जो always it's going to be famous and popular. हमारा रीजनल. तो हम आज जो जगन्नाथ कल्ट के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. In some states such as Odisha, the regional culture grew around religious tradition. The cult of Jagannath, a form of a Lord Vishnu at Puri in Odisha, is one such example in 12th century. A ruler of a Ganga dynasty, Anantavarman, erected a temple for Purushottama Jagannath at Puri. Later in 1230, King Ananga Bhima III dedicated his kingdom to the deity of Jagannath and declared himself as a deputy of God. So, when he declared himself as a deputy of God, as the temple received patronage from kings, it became a great pilgrimage center and became to influence the social and the political matters of the state. Many political powers who conquered Odisha, such as the Mughals, Marathas, English East India Company, attempted to control the temple as they thought that this would make the ruler acceptable to the people. जनरली क्या होता था, क्योंकि जगन्नाथ कल्ट के जैसे पुरी में ये टेम्पल के आसपास में बहुत सारे वर्कर्स यूज टू वर्क, एंड टेम्पल्स के लोग तो रहते ही थे. सब कुछ तो इनको लगता था जो भी वहाँ पे जीत लेगा ये टेम्पल को उड़ीसा में, वो सब जगह पे राज करेगा. बाय द वे, इसके बारे में एक बहुत अच्छी कहानी है कि जब भगवान जगन्नाथ अपनी सिस्टर के साथ बाहर निकले घूमने के लिए, अपने लोगों को मिलने के लिए, तो वो कहा जाता था कि जब भी वो उन्हें मिलने बाहर निकलते थे तो वो उनके दुख हर लेते थे. इसीलिए whenever the Jagannath Yatra cult comes out, during that time what happened, people come the nearby the Jagannath Yatras crowd, they all crowd because they need a blessing, they want blessing. That was the reason. Now we'll talk about Rajput. The state Rajasthan was ruled by Rajput in medieval India. Apart from Rajput, many people lived in Rajasthan, but the Rajputs left a distinct impression on the culture of Rajasthan. You should be very much aware of this कि because only राजपूत ही थे जिन्होंने राजस्थान में अपना एक recognition रखा है. From the 8th century onwards, Rajasthan was ruled by various Rajput families which were known for their bravery and honor. वहां पे एक बहुत अच्छी सी पेंटिंग है जिसमें पेंटिंग शोज राजपूत फाइटिंग ब्रेवली विद अ टाइगर. It might not be there in your textbook, but I really like to share you about this. अब क्योंकि हम राजपूत के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, हाउ कैन वी फॉरगेट पृथ्वीराज चौहान, right? Was a famous ruler who is remembered for his bravery, who chose to die on the battlefield rather than face a defeat. So few people are very they are why they are legends because their work shows. Now we have also known to know about the Rajput from the poems and the song which been passed down for generation to generation. The in this also here we will know about, and in their poems also they used to talk about Rajput behavior, the loyalty, the friendship, the anger. Means they were like very nicely put up portrait in that manner. Women have also found women are also called as braves over there na? So women have also found a place in this song and stories. Sometimes they appear as a cause of conflict between the rulers. Women have mostly appeared as brave wives who either followed their husbands into the battlefields or performed sati and johar. Ye cheez to the committing johar by Rajput women is very much famous. Now let's start. You can see this map nicely. On this map, we are talking about the regions. Let's move ahead and we'll talk something new about Kathak, right? Kathak means katha. It is a form where you are like a storytelling form. Okay, the story of Kathak. While one region in India is known for the uh, of its people, the region in country is known for one of its dance form, that is Kathak. In one such dance form which is associated with many parts of North India. Originally, Kathak were cast of storytellers in the temples of North India who narrated their stories and various gesture and songs. Children, the Kathak people, वो जो पहनते हैं, their attire which they wear ना, their attire and their makeup is done by the food colors, and they mix it into the rice powder and then they apply on the face. So because of that, what happened, they call attire, their face makeup and all na, that becomes more than 15 kg, and they take long to do that makeup and all. With the spread of Bhakti movement in 15 to 16th century, Kathak began to evolve into a dance form. The Ras Leela of Radha Krishna, हम कैसे भूल सकते हैं रास लीला को राधा कृष्ण के. Then I'll talk to you about like it was under the Mughal that Kathak developed into a district dance form, and it was performed in the court of many rulers. Later, this dance developed into two tradition or gharanas. One developed in the courts of the kings of Rajasthan and the other developed in Lucknow. In Lucknow, it grew into a major art form under the patronage provided by Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, the Nawab of Awadh. So if अगर आपको पूछ रहा है कि कथक के पेट्रॉन, तो he was Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, the Nawab of Awadh. Gradually, Kathak spread as a dance form of various regions like the present Punjab, Jammu Kashmir, Madhya Pradesh, and Bihar. Kathak came to be recognized as a dance form which requires rapid footwork, costumes, and it is an enactment of stories. Through Kathak, was not favored by a British. It continued to be the performed by the courtesans. After independence, it was recognized as one of the six classical form of a dance form. Now here we will talk about. Miniature. Classical dance, Kathak, which I told you. And you can see over here also in the chapter also that Kathak, like several other cultural practice, was viewed by disfavor by the Britishers, which I told you right now. It was recognized as one of the six classical form of dance in the country after independence. So here they have given very nicely about the classical dance, which you can see Bharatnatyam in Tamil Nadu, Kathakali in Kerala. In Kathakali, children, they wear the mask. What do you call that? They do the makeup of the dries, which I was talking to you, and the color, that vegetable and that nature color they used to use on it, and their costume was completely very heavy. It was more than 15 to 16 kg. Okay, chalo. Let's next we'll talk about Kuchipudi, Andhra Pradesh. Now we are talking about miniature paintings. Miniature means a small form, children. Miniature painting has been one of the most famous form of painting which developed in the early medieval period. Miniature are small size painting which are generally drawn on a piece of cloth or paper with the help of a watercolor. The earliest miniature painting were drawn on palm leaves or wood. Mughal emperors such as Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan patronized highly skilled painters who portrayed battle scenes, court scenes, hunting scenes, etc. These paintings were weaved by only the king, nobles, and their families. As the Mughal Empire began to decline, many painters migrated to various regions of India. This influenced painting in other regions also, such as Deccan and Rajasthan. The portrait of kings and court scenes in these courts were subsequently painted. Many paintings were also painted on theme based on regional and mythology, especially at centers such as Bundi, Kota, Mewar, Jodhpur, and Kishangarh. So, few places which I'm talking to you about, where this all spreaded and all. This all were the places which I was talking to you right now. Chalo, now next I'll talk to you about that miniature painting further developed in the foothills of Himalaya, a mountain in the present state of Himachal Pradesh. By the late 7th century, a bold and an intense style of miniature painting called Basoli developed in this region. Bhanudatta's Rasamanjari was a popular. See, now one more thing. See, can you see here courtyard, elephants and all? तो यहाँ पे ये सीन बहुत अलग अलग से है. They are playing होली. देखो ऊपर से कलर डाला जा रहा है. So many things. Just see over here. And people are so happy. They are playing. They are throwing waters and colors and all. Which I'm talking to you about Bhani. Bhanudatta's Rasamanjari, Nadir Shah's invasion and conquest of Delhi in 1739 resulted in a migration of Mughal artists to the hills of escape. Uncertainties plain. Okay, now in this chapter they are talking about Kangra paintings very nicely. Kangra paintings depicts miniature of Radha Krishna, Gopi, and all sorts. Can you see over here? The theme generally tell to you about that. Now, here, the kings in this region provided patronage to them, and hence the Kangra school of painting was evolved. The Vaishnavite tradition inspired the Kangra school of painting. The use of the soft colors, such as soothing blues and greens, and the lyrical treatment of themes were some important features of this school painting. Development of a Bengali real language. The state of Bengal is located now as we are going on Bengal. So we'll see the close look on Bengal. State located in the eastern part of the country जो हमें पता है. Early Sanskrit texts suggested the people of Bengal did not speak the Sanskritic language but Bengali, which is a language derived from Sanskrit. Thus the question arises as to when did Bengali emerge in this region. So, since 4th and 3rd century BC, we find the emergence of commercial ties between Bengal and Magad, which might have led to the growing influence of Sanskrit in Bengal. Now, further, the Gupta ruler established their control over North Bengal and many Brahmin communities began to settle in this region. 4th and 3rd century I had a word with you. Now I'm going ahead. Through the Bengali language has been derived from Sanskrit. It's also been influenced by many languages. As many non-Sanskritic words have been derived from other languages such as Persian, European language, and tribal dialect. In 1586, Akbar conquered Bengal. While Persian became the language of the administration, Bengali developed as a regional language. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि क्योंकि अकबर ने कॉन्कर किया था बंगाल, इसलिए पर्शियन लैंग्वेज का वहां पे शामिल हुई. Now I'll talk to you about the division of the early Bengal literature. See, early division Bengal literature can be divided into two categories. Okay, one category is influenced by Sanskrit and the other is independent of Sanskrit. The former category includes a translation from the Sanskrit epics such as Mangalayavasa, a religious poem dealing with local deities, and the Bhakti literature. These texts are easier to date as several manuscripts indicates that these were composed between the 15th and the 18th century. So you should remember this. It is important. If it is not going to be in your textbooks. That's why I'm just informing and telling to you. The second category of literature, which has been independent of Sanskrit language, includes literature such as Song of Mainamati and Gopi Chandra, stories of Dharma Thakur, fairy tales, folk tales, and ballad. These literature were passed through the generation and hence cannot be dated precisely. Orally, also, you can say. They were more popular in eastern Bengal, where Brahmins did not exercise great influence over the people and the culture. Let's talk, see here, the Mainamati Gopichand Dharma, where the Nath they are talking about. If you could see that, the Nath were the ascetic who engage in a variety of yogic practice. This particular song, which was often enacted, describe how Mainamati, a queen, encouraged her son Gopi Chandra to adopt the path of asceticism in the face of the variety of obstacles. Dharma Thakur is popular regional deity, often worshipped in the form of a stone or a piece of wood. So we should be focusing on this also. Now, when I'm talking to you, further we'll talk about peers and temples. Okay. So, from the 16th century, now wherever I'm putting a dates to you, centuries and all, you should remember, children. Onwards, many people began to migrate to East Bengal, which was a marshy land and a heavy forest region. As they moved into the East Bengal, they cleared forests for cultivation rice crops. The already existing communities of fishermen and tribal peacefully intermingled with the new peasants community, which I'm talking to you right now. There arose a community of leaders who functioned as teachers and adjudicators. These leaders came to be known as peers. So you should know who were called as a peers. So peers include saints, Sufis, and even animistic worshipping of forces of nature, plants, animals, etc. Spirits. The shrine of the peers were built by the people and can be found almost everywhere in Bengal. Now, temple building. So we'll go to the temple building first. Yes, yeah, it is temple building. Temple began to build in the large number from the late 15th century onwards. In Bengal, several bricks and the terracotta temples were built with the support of low caste communities. Now look here, what are we talking about? We are talking about how these people were making. Now see, such as the Kolu, oil pressurer, the Kansari, metal workers. When local deities who were worshipped in thatched huts gained the recognition of Brahmins, their images began to be placed in temples. Temples were built in the structure of the thatched hut, which has been shown here. See this. Okay. Now temples were built in a structure which I told you. This led to a evolution of the Bengal style of architecture known as Bangla Dome. Because of this, can you see this? Dome shape. Yes. And how they got this idea? This was because of European companies traded in the market of Bengal. Their economic condition improved. In order to show their strength and economic power built, the temple were building during that time. Temple were built it on a square platform. Okay. And most notable temple is Vishnupura in Bankora district of West Bengal is an important example of a temple with a high degree of decoration. Now we will talk about. See, this is the temple at Vishnupura, which I'm talking to you right now. Now we'll talk about the eating style, fish eating. Now there is also a tradition of Bengal. You know, Bengalis, rice and fish is very common to them. One of the most common food item is Bengal is fish, as a Bengal is a riverine plain which produces fish and rice in large quantity. Rice and fish figure in the diet of even the poorest Bengali family. Can you see this picture? Here she's cutting the fish, cleaning the fish. Fishing has always been an important occupation of a Bengalis, and Bengali literature contain many references to fishing and fish eating. The walls of many temples show fishes being dressed and taken to market in basket. Interestingly, Brahmin were not allowed to eat non-vegetarian food. हमें पता है, they don't eat non-vegetarian food. But see here, something which I'm showing you. But the Brahmanical authorities and texts allowed the Brahmin community in Bengal to eat certain varieties of fish. Okay. So that was also a huge thing in this. Children, I like to start with the mind map, the subtopics as I always do. So the subtopic, first of all, the making of regional. Subtopic we have started with the Cheras and the development of Malayalam language. Then the ruler of Jagannath tradition cult, Rajput tradition, their heroes. Then we were talking about beyond regional 40 arts, the story of a Kathak, painting for patrons, the traditional miniature, a war close to Bengal, where we were talking about the Piran temple, the growth of the closer region, and the fish food, right? So I hope that my students are clear enough in what I have explained them और उनको बोर नहीं लगा होगा. So always as I say, update and upgrade yourself. Till that, bye, and please do put a comment if you feel like कि आपको समझ आया है अच्छे से, तो प्लीज कमेंट जरूर कीजिएगा. Till that, bye.